Well, my name is Mike. This is at Highland Hill Farm, and I'm trimming trees right now. Right beside me, this is a Norway spruce. I'm going to prune this guy. This is giving you an idea a little bit beforehand. Norway spruce is a lot more difficult to prune than arborvitae is. There is a prune period for it, and it's a little bit late, but I just didn't have time during the growing season to prune it at the right time, but I can still come back and do a corrective on it. But anyway, when you prune Norway spruce, it is a determinate tree. That means it has a determined amount of growth on it, but more importantly, it has a bud to it. So you need to prune it so it still has buds for it to grow for next year. So you take your pruners, and you prune right here, it's going to be hurtful because there's no buds down here to grow up as a new trunk of the tree. So you always have to prune where there are buds on it to grow for next year. Very, very important. A lot of people make that as a mistake. But so when you prune it, since this is a really cool one, but this is new one growth, two growth in 1 year. So I call this a second flush. I don't know the exactly right name for it, but that's what I call it. So there's a first flush, second flush onto the year. So flush twice in 1 year. But as you notice, this doesn't look really sightly. This looks unsightly. Too much growth, and it leads to something that we call goosenecking. If you ever see a goose and its neck is real long and there's nothing on it, that's what we call a gooseneck. Well, there's nothing going to be on it. It's going to be real narrow, nothing to it. So in order to avoid that, we trim it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're probably going to trim it right about there. And if you notice that there's buds right above or right below where the cut mark is, and those buds will grow out. If you notice this right here, this has been pruned last year. That's the prune mark. Bud right there to take over. No one even notices that you prune it. That's what you wanted to try to do. Same thing with this right here. Every one of them has it. And that's how you prune it. You prune it. You don't prune right above the bud, leaving that spot right there to die. And that leads dead tissue is on the plant that funguses and bacteria can use as a point of entry to get into the tree. So the least amount of cells that you have there that is going to die back, the less the injury is going to be, and the less the springboard for the infectious diseases attacking the trees they're going to actually go for. Another key feature is that you always try to put a little bit of an angle on it so that when it rains, the water can run off of that cut mark on it. That's another one that's not as important as the placement of the cut on it. So after we did the cut, okay, cool, that's really awesome. We got one central leader, really awesome. Good buds to it. We now got to do the rest of the tree. And the rest of the tree, we just go through and we just kind of make an imaginary line around it to make it into a shape that you would like it to be. Again, also noting that I'm not taking a lot off the tree, just a little bit in order to shape it. If you go really hard into a spruce tree, like a real hard prune, like you prune it into there, what happens is that there's no buds on those branches down there to grow back out, and you create scarring on the tree. That's not good at all. Now this one here, this is a little bit more of a feature that's more common to what I have to deal with, is that there's two stalks, and they're both about the same size, and like, which one are you going to have to take? And I usually go through and I see that whichever one is the thicker one of the two, or has more buds to it. The buds are the preformed stem parts and leaf parts for next year, so you always pick the one that has more. The more, the merrier. So there's different ways to go do it. I prefer to go right about there and prune it there, and then prune this one there. That's my preference. And that's because I like having a spare to it. So if like a big bird, like an eagle or a crow, landed on it and broke it off, that's still there to take over. But a lot of places, many places, come down and they prune it right there. And that way there's no chance for a second leader at all ever to come into it. And that's, most places, that's how they do it. For us, we have a lot of birds, and the bird is an issue with us for growing trees and having damage on it. But it's still, that's more or less what you're going to get if you go to other nurseries. And after you've done that, it's the hard part. The easy part is just going through and shaping it into what you want it to eventually have the shape of. And that's basics for spruce pruning. That's all that we really need to do.
If you want more information about spruce trees or their care, call Michael at 267-446-2376. He's at Highland Hill Farm in Fountainville, PA.